Welcome to So It's Not Just Me, the podcast where we discuss things that happen in our life that we thought was just our own doing, our own issues, when actually there's a lot more and a lot more people who go through the same things. Today, I'm really excited. Firstly, because I've heard a northern accent that I haven't heard for a long, long time. But I have a new guest, and this is Jamie, and he's going to tell us about his story and um, where he's at and what he's doing and how he helps others. So, Jamie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you like the northern accent.
Of
I'm sure you're
course, of
not probably
course.
hearing it that much in Florida, are you? So
No.
yeah. So my name's Jamie Woodcock. I'm here to basically share my story of anxiety, health anxiety, and yeah, I'm from Rotherham, which is in northern England. If you're in America and you don't know where Rotherham is, yeah, I'd say northern. Would you? Midlands to northern?
Yeah, I always say
You,
I'm northern. Doncaster's
yeah,
definitely
no.
northern. Always.
Yeah. So about 12 miles from Doncaster.
Yeah, yeah. I'd argue the death that Doncaster's northern.
Yeah, I'm going with that as well.
Yeah.
I'm spinning the northern vibe, definitely.
Yeah, without a doubt. So something that is very, very rarely talked about is anxiety in men. Um, Men, it's been labelled a long, long time that men just don't get anxiety. They just have to man up and move on. But it's it's so important, and I really love that you've come to talk to me about it and that you can be so open. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on. Um,
No problem.
from what I've understood, and obviously stop me and tell me if I'm wrong, your anxiety was quite specific to health anxiety. Is that right?
Yeah,
Can you explain
yeah,
that a little bit?
yeah, of course. So what happened is I must have been probably, well, you got to bear in mind I'm 40 now. So I know I don't look it, but
Clever.
yeah, that's it. When I was 15, that's when it started. I was in my last year at secondary school. And I can remember. Do you want me to tell you exactly when it started? The
Sure, yeah.
first ever panic attack that I had.
Yeah, sure.
I put 50 pence in a vending machine to get a bar of chocolate, and then that were it. Like literally, just felt like I was going to pass out, overwhelmed. Just everything just went woof, and then I just froze. I can't remember if I took the chocolate bar or not, but I ran all the way home, and I left school on my first break on
Wow.
that particular day.
And was there something that kind of clicked in your head, or it just you just don't know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we were at an age where you're quite impressionable, and but you're quite naive to the world, and you lack a lot of understanding. You're sort of just leaving school and you're about to go into adulthood as such. You've got into the big bad world, but at the same time, um, we lost. I lost a friend who died the same age as me, and I also lost my granddad as well at the same around the same time period,
Right.
sort of thing. Um, but I'd already had my first panic attack when I lost my granddad. However, the accumulation of that, it was I can't explain it. It was just like overwhelming, and
Yeah.
um, the factors of how my friend died uh, factored into my anxiety. So like every time I got every time I got a pain in my head or something like that, there was something wrong with me. Every time I got a pain in my throat, it was something. It were always the worst case scenario, to the point where at that age, um, in my mum's house, we had a medical journal. One of them, just old ones. I think probably a lot of people had them because obviously you didn't have internet to go and to
Yep.
Google what symptoms were and things like that, or it were in its infancy anyway. If you did, but I studied this medical book and I must have read it from start to finish about I want to say about 3 or 4 times. So I literally pretty much knew it word for word. I
Right.
could have been a doctor at 16, but you know. but that's how obsessive it become. But you don't realize that you're becoming obsessive with it. You realize that there's an issue there, but it doesn't seem as big as it actually is.
Yeah. Did people kind of dismiss it as you being a hypochondriac?
I think at such a young age as well, and it's different nowadays. I think I were a bit too. I think a lot of people around me there weren't much awareness of it, of what it was, even anxiety in itself. And I think I would just sort of, I'm just going to deal with this because like the guys are just going to say, oh, you're just being a wimp or just
Especially
grow
being
up and or
northern.
something like that.
Northerners are
Yeah, and that never leaves you. That as you get older and older and older, that sort of stigma stays with you anyway.
Yeah.
So, but I think I sort of just turned me back from it. Like going to doctors, I can get into to how I was with the doctors. I went from going a lot to not wanting to go at all
Oh, okay.
as it progressed. So yeah, I can cross that bridge as we get to it. But it was just a case of just getting on with it. And you know, I never took medication for it until I'm on my ninth month of it now, and I'm
Wow.
so from 15-year-old to 40.
Wow. See, I'm
So I never took medication because I was too scared to take it, thinking it was going to kill me.
right. I've just turned 39, and so I'm almost at the 40. That gives me anxiety. But I can't remember when I first heard the word anxiety, but I know it wasn't when I was a teenager. It's like all of a sudden a word that's always there because we're kind of getting more awareness of it, but I can't
Yeah,
remember learning what anxiety was as a younger person. And like working on myself now, I probably had a lot of anxiety that I didn't realize. And I'm going to guess that's something similar with you as well.
yeah. I think as well when you think of anxiety and I guess studies around anxiety and the awareness of it's still in its infancy because like even going to counselling sessions at 16-year-old, I never, from what I can remember, I never heard the counsellor say the word anxiety.
Right.
I don't know the word worry and things like that, yeah, but I can't recall us saying anxiety
No, it's,
because I thought I'd have thought it would be a word that I could remember us saying.
yeah, yeah. But I can't remember the first time I heard it, and I can't remember ever hearing it as a kid.
Yeah,
So,
but then you've got to also bear in mind all the branches that have come off of anxiety as well. And this is, and again, we're still in its infancy. You've got OCD, you've got ADHD, and all these mental illnesses that have branched off anxiety, all of which are a symptom of. So again, it's highlighting which one
yeah.
is what you've got as well.
I remember when I did go and see my doctor about being, I think I wasn't depressed, but they kept saying anxiety and depression. That was like coupled together. So it was as if you couldn't be depressed without being having anxiety, and you couldn't have anxiety without being depressed. But I wasn't depressed. I just couldn't understand what was happening in my head, and like things were scaring me more
Yeah,
than they should have. So it was very. I think sometimes the doctors don't know exactly because they're learning too with all these new things. And
yeah, yeah.
that's kind of one of those things.
Well, I mean, I think doctors are great at, I'm not taking anything away from any
No,
doctors if they are listening to this, because they are great, and the reassurance that you can get off them, especially at being anxious, is great. But I think you've got to understand it the best that you can. You've got to have gone through it,
yes.
and I think even with that in mind, for me, anxiety is tailored to everybody individually different. So everybody's form of anxiety is different. So one thing I might say to you, you might say to me, "Oh well, no, I've never experienced that." But then in my head, that's like me dying even further, or vice versa. And
Yeah.
you know, you've just got to be careful as well how you Yeah, how you sort of deal with it. But I think as far as it goes, yeah, everybody's anxiety is sort of like tailored to that to them specifically, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's awful.
It is.
It really
I
is
completely
rubbish.
agree. It's a horrible thing. Mine's never been terrible anxiety. Mine's always been like niggling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, with you having it from or feeling these thoughts from such a young age, how did that affect like everyday life, like going to school and then leaving school, finding jobs and things?
Yeah, so with me, I think a lot of people have thought they'll look at me even now and they'll go, "There's no way that you suffer with anxiety because I'm outgoing. I'll tell you jokes. I perform on stage. I mean, I do music and things like that. People will be like, no way that you suffer with anxiety because I guess I've learned to mask it that well.
Right.
But people that are close to me know that it's not been great. It's been hell, and yeah, going into what you were just asking then. So like, I feel like now I'm at 40-year old, and I'm probably past halfway, or maybe just at the halfway mark of life, so midlife, and I feel like it stopped me from doing so much. Like it hindered like just everything. Like I don't know, sometimes you get into this bubble where you just don't want to do anything, and you let's think I can't do that, or you're risk assessing everything. I mean, everybody probably risk assesses everything, but when you're in that state of mind, you risk assessing it, then risk assessing it again, and when you're actually there, you're risk assessing it even further.
Yeah.
I like locating your toilets. They're your safe zones. So if I need to like burst away from here quickly because I'm feeling overwhelmed or something, that's my toilet there. My toilet's there. Or you find safe zones, and you shouldn't have to do that. Obviously, so you end up running relationships. Like I've been in situations where I've gone through phases where I've become overwhelmed in supermarkets and I feel like I'm going to pass out, and it has an adverse effect on my relationships because they get fed up at going at supermarket with me, not knowing how I'm going to react while
Yeah.
I'm there. But then I didn't have the I didn't have the guts to say I can't go. It were always like it were problematic to not go.
Right.
Like I'm just being boring. Like I'm just being this or that. But I weren't. I was just petrified.
Yeah. No, I
And
understand
yeah,
that. I'm quite lucky. My husband's really good when if I say I can't do this today, he's very good at saying that's okay, we don't have to. Or if I
yeah, and
say
I
I
think
really don't
that's
want to.
important for people listening to this. I think that if you are supporting somebody that has got anxiety, I think it's massively important to get it. And if they say no, just give them that breathing space
Yeah.
instead, because I know that a lot of people not give them that breathing space, but it's not done intentionally to antagonize that mood. They're doing it because they care.
Yeah.
But I think it's if they can go right when I say no, just please just leave me alone for 10 minutes or what you know what I mean,
Yeah.
don't you?
I think that's
And
where
then
communication comes in, and you have to explain to that person, hey, I'm not being awkward, I'm not being, mean. It's not because I don't want to do these things with you. I do, but
yeah,
like but is such an important word. Like I want to do this, but just you know,
yeah, and that's going back to what you just said, communication, because I think especially probably in your relationships at the beginning, the infancy of a relationship, people might take that personal that you're saying no, and is it something that I've done, or like I say, he's boring him, or do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's not really about that. It's just a case of communication, and that I'm like that now in my job. I find that I get my job done a lot better by I'll get to site because I'm an MVQ assessor, so I assess people in construction, and that's going on to site. And every time I'm usually doing what's called a question and answer session with them. So they see it as though it's an exam. So you can pick up on their anxiety just like that,
yeah,
especially when you suffer from anxiety. So like I will, I'm so open about my anxiety. If I'm not feeling it, or if I see that somebody else is struggling, I'd be like, I'll not tell them that I've sensed that they're struggling with it. I will then start telling them my story of anxiety, and then they open up about theirs, and it's just like that I know about it. But then, you know, it puts them at ease, and like anything in life, I'm so open about it, and I think I've helped a lot of people, even with coming off of alcohol, my alcohol addiction that I've come out of, and just which was caused by anxiety. Again, we can get to that shortly, and I just think that I think a lot of people might think, "Oh, I'm attention seeking." I'm not in slightest attention seeking. I'm just open about it because I want people to be open about it too. I want people to go, "Do you know what? It weren't. He's just told me that he struggles with his anxiety. I don't think no different to him for that. So I want somebody to go and do exactly the same to somebody else."
I think that's what a lot of people are scared of, is that people thinking that it's not okay. And it is so okay
Mm,
to talk about anything and everything. And, you know, people might not understanding it and they may be wary still at first, especially people around our age. We were quiet in the corners when we was kids. So, it is hard for us to talk about things, but when we do, it's so important to listen and know that it's okay to say the things that you need to say. Even if it's scary, it's still okay.
oh, absolutely, yeah. And I just say it because I always think to myself now, if that if somebody don't want to hear that, or if it's too much for some people, then I'm at that point in my life now. Is just remove yourself from
Yeah,
life. It's just
yeah,
simple as that. If you don't like it, just go.
yeah. And
I'm
that
not out to impress anyone or out like that.
no,
I just want to, I'll help anybody.
and
I'll
that's
help
important
anybody,
for
and
your own mental health and your own well-being and stuff. There's no point having somebody in your life that isn't going to be a benefit to, not that it's given to, I'm only having people in my life that benefit me. I don't want people in my life that are going to suck my energy and make me feel not the person I am. It's
exactly
more
energy
like that.
vacuums. They're a no, aren't they?
Yeah. So
They underwhelm you, and then you just become down,
yes,
and then it
yeah,
leads into anxiety.
yeah. So you did touch on it a little bit about your drinking and becoming an addict, and I know that when we kind of discussed briefly, you had said you had self medicated because of the anxiety. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. Again, from reading my medical journals, I know that alcohol's the only drug that properly relaxes your central nervous system. So, with that in mind, I thought one day I'll have a drink, see if that does something for me, and it does. It did, but it's not the answer. But it took me. I learned the very, 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 very hard way from that, because that couple of cans at night turned into four, turned into six, turned into eight. Then the eight weren't touching me, so I'd go onto the top shelf, and then by the time, I mean, this is I'm going over a fairly big period here, because obviously, like I said, I've never took anything uh, for it. So I got to the point where when I was 34, probably just 35 maybe, I was drinking neat vodka at 6 o'clock in the morning,
God.
all the way through to going to bed at night, with cans of cider in between it. And it it was great in the aspect of um, anxiety, but everything else in my life had just fallen apart. Like everything around me had just fallen apart.
Can you remember when you started that?
What drinking?
Yeah.
I mean, I lived in a pub
Oh, lovely
up
hell.
until 2009, but I weren't that bad in the pub. It was when I left and the uncertainty of what was going off. That's when I started the four cans a night,
Right.
which then led into. I've been in and out of bands as well, so I was always chasing that high from gigs. So like when we weren't gigging, I'd have a few cans and like sort of reminisce about it, just to chase that high
Yeah.
until next gig I'd come across. But then I found myself at gigs. I was getting absolutely hammered, and um, it wasn't me. It's not who I am. I'm a good person. I'll do out for anybody, and I'm a really good person. And I became somebody that I weren't
Right.
when I was. And do I blame anxiety? I blame anxiety it started the addiction, but I suppose I always say to myself, it's me that got myself to where I got myself with it, where I should have explored other avenues. So, but yeah, I'm 4 years sober now, so it's like, yeah. And then I've just thought that's where it comes into it to start taking something for it. I think I've got to trust medicine at this point because I'm not going back on that again because, like I say, it ruined everything. Literally ruined everything.
Could you hold a job or anything at the time, if you don't mind me
No,
asking?
I got sacked from a couple of jobs.
Right.
Uh, I might as well. I actually worked for WebHelp, and I fell asleep on
Oh
phone
no!
on a phone call. I might as well inject a bit of humour into it, Anna. Yeah, I was saying I just need to speak to my supervisor, and then I asked the supervisor the question, and they went to look for the answer basically, and while they were looking for the answer, I just fell
Oh
asleep.
no!
Ended up getting sacked from that. I think I either got sacked or I left. I might have just got my first month's pay and sacked it off so I could have a drink, a good drink, basically. So yeah, but I couldn't hold the job down, no, because obviously, uh, if you're familiar with um, alcohol, you've got like a fully functioning alcoholic, which is what I was. That's somebody that wakes up and does it all day, every day, sort of thing. And you've got a functioning alcoholic. That's somebody that can wake up, go to work, do all the jobs, pay the bills and things like that, but drinks every night.
Right.
So, but them sort of alcoholics won't admit that they're alcoholics. They won't admit that that's a problem until it becomes a bigger one. Sometimes it doesn't become a bigger one, but this is what I've learned
Right.
from this is I've learned all this on back of anxiety.
No,
So
that's good. I think every day should be a school day, and if you're learning something that helps and helps you understand how your head's working, then that's a bonus, absolute bonus.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
would love someone to teach me how my head is working, so that I can understand
Oh
it.
no, no,
I'd love that. That'd be great.
just now. Yeah, it can work. Don't try and figure yourself out. That's what I've always thought because it can change in milliseconds.
Yeah.
You know yourself probably that like anxiety, not even just anxiety, just life in general. You could wake up in the best mood and within an hour somebody's peed you off, and you're like,
Hmm.
well, you've just ruined my day.
That sounds like
And
you
sometimes I
do at
feel
work.
like when I wake up and it's a good day, I feel like it's a setup. Sometimes I'm
Yeah.
being set up here. Something's going to happen.
Where's the camera hidden?
So yeah, and again, that's anxiety.
Yeah.
That's the expecting something bad to happen is it's anxiety. It's an anxiety that's, and I'm sure that again, people listening to this will go, yeah, I feel like that. But some people might go, I didn't know. I thought that was just me.
Yeah.
And yeah, because these little things that people probably just think that they're again catered just to them, where they're not. These little things that you usually find that the results and where you get the most open conversation with people are on the little things that happen.
Yeah.
Because it's the little ones that happen that end up being the big one at the end of it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I didn't know that you had that. I thought I wasn't a person that felt that. And being open about anxiety, you usually find that you get that sort of conversation from people.
That's one of the reasons why I was really excited when you said you'd come on because, all right, like I said at the beginning, men don't really talk about anxiety and things. So not everyone, not all of my listeners will be able to relate to that, and not all of my listeners have had an alcohol addiction, but they may not realize some of the smaller things that we're talking about actually affects them as well. So I'm really, really glad that you've touched on that a little bit because
Yeah.
it's one of those things that, again,
And I
people
think
don't realize.
with anxiety as well, it can be an accumulation of smaller things that then become the bigger thing.
Yeah.
And I think um, if you feel like you're getting to that point, it's look for them signs, in it, and do something about it before it does become that big thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're in a generation that we are the first generation where probably the word anxiety has been thrown around a lot more than, so we've had to understand that. But then from that, like I say, all the branch offs that come with it, like
Yeah.
your different types of anxiety. I mean, it just started as anxiety, low mood, depression, whatever they call it. But then all these different ones come off it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's sensory issues and things like that. I still don't understand that, but I'm still learning myself because there's still things that are coming up. So like anxiety back when, as we understand it, that or understood it then. That could now be either OCD or it could be ADHD, like I say, or it
Yeah.
could be other mental illnesses that have come out since. And I've got a friend, I don't think he'll mind me saying, my best friend who's been in and out of hospital for his mental health for the last 10 years,
Right.
and he's been sectioned quite a lot of times. So I have got a bit more understanding about further into it and people's moves and things like that. He's fantastic, because he's been in the
Yeah.
system and done it. He's like a psychiatrist. He can. I don't like looking at him because he knows what I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
Again,
And
that comes back to the whole, when you are around someone or you're living with it yourself, you understand it more and you can recognize it on other
yeah,
people.
absolutely,
So it's,
A- absolutely, yeah. It's awful, and like I said, but this open conversation about it, I like this because an open dialogue, and
yeah,
people can listen in and go, and almost feel like they're part of it with us
yeah,
as we're talking.
yeah.
I hope they are talking to themselves because I talk to myself all the time.
Oh, same, same. I have the best
I even
conversation.
answer myself now. So
How did like friends and family react when they found, like, did they help you? Did they try to intervene? Was there, would you even listen to them when they were saying that they were worried or anything? Or did they not even know?
what about the about drinking?
Yeah. Or even, well,
No, I
all
just
of
did it
it,
in
to be
secret a
honest.
lot of times. Yeah, most of the time I did it in secret, but I get caught a few
Right.
times. So there was signs. Obviously, my closest friends knew, but unfortunately, I'd probably suckered them into doing it with me as well.
Right.
So, but it's a case of chose my friends at that time. So Monday I'd have a drink with so and so. Tuesday I'd have a drink. So they did because I got different friend circles. They didn't know.
Right. Right.
I
Yeah.
knew going across board, but then they didn't know because they didn't know each other as
Right.
such.
That
So
makes sense.
I'd have a different friend circle, and so yeah. As far as they were concerned, that's just the day of the week that I was drinking
Right. So they had no.
while I were with them, but it weren't. I were all over the place. I was social butterfly with beer, with a can in my hand.
um, when do you think? So I know because you've told me already, but if you don't mind me asking, when do you think was the turning point of deciding to get sober?
When I nearly died, so I can't really. I want to. What I want to set here is that I woke up one day and I thought I've had enough. That's what I want to set here. But I'll be open, and I was selfish, and it took for my parents to find me having a fit on floor and taking me to hospital in ambulance came and took me to hospital. I can't remember this. I was out of it for 4 days,
Wow.
and then I woke up after 4 days, and then that's when I said, well, because they reckon withdrawals last for 72 hours. I'd been unconscious for that, so I woke up. I weren't withdrawing. Everything was just, and so I just thought, this is the chance now. I always feel like when something happens, I get put into a position where it's my chance to either make a change or not, or just go back to where I was. Because, like I said, I'd just gone over that withdrawal time because I don't think I could have handled withdrawals. I'd have probably just got another cannon and got back on it. But I think in hindsight, being unconscious for 4 days was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because I'd bypassed that
Right.
withdrawal time, and I've come round and, like I said, I weren't thinking straight. I had to learn to walk again because my legs had been on bed for 4 days, not moving or all that. So all my muscles had just gone. Bleh.
Right.
So I was walking around with a Zimmer frame for 4 days. I didn't know this. When I woke up, they didn't know that I'd woke up. I didn't know that I couldn't walk. I went to get out of bed and just crashed
Oh
into
no.
bloke's bed, bloke's bed across from me. Just ended up on floor.
Oh
But yeah, no, it's not classiest time. Bed baths, whatever they call them as well. Not the classiest time in your life.
no.
So, and I think it was just a case that I took myself away from the town that I grew up in, just to avoid temptation, and took myself out, and then just. I did it quite fast, to be honest with you. A lot of people, I would advise people to take as much time as they need, but I didn't. I put pressure on myself to get better and get back out there. And I was working with in about a month and a half, of coming out of hospital when I should have probably done. But it's worked for me. So
Do you think it was too fast going back to work after a month and a half, or was
yeah,
was it a good
because
thing to jump straight back in?
yeah, it was strange because you've got to think that like my anxiety was again it was massive at this point because I spent the amount of time drunk as somebody would spend sober,
Right,
if that makes sense. So like they'll spend, let's say, 12 hours of the 12 hours of the day sober. I'll spend it drunk.
right.
So and then my sober time, well, just like what they'd have their drinking period would be. So I basically went from being drunk every day. Then I've locked myself away for a while, and then I did this online course, got an interview for a job, got the job, started, and I was like, "Wow, this is nuts." Anxiety, oof. But again, first thing I said to him, "Look, I suffer with anxiety, and this is who I am." And you usually get if they don't suffer from it, my wife does, or my son struggles with it. And again, that's just having an open dialogue about it and being open, communicating about it. That just put me at ease straight away because he sort of understood in a way, and then I just breezed it. I went on to breeze it, and yeah. So, but had I not said something, who knows?
Yeah,
And again, that's why I'll keep saying it. I'll keep saying it till the end of this conversation. Communication is key with everything in
yeah,
life. Everything.
yeah. I think it's the most important thing, and I don't know if you've ever listened to my podcast. I'm not offended if you haven't, so it's fine. But every single one of them, we say in it, communication, 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 and it is everything. Absolutely, it's not just it is everything. So it's so important. And
It is.
if you can't communicate, if you don't know how to communicate, just let the words come out, and you know somebody will help you, somebody will carry you, somebody will pick on things and ask questions, and that's how you learn to communicate more. So it's
Yeah, and I
wonderful.
think in a place of where you're sort of earning your living as well, and things like that, just to touch on anxiety in your workplace, would be that being open from the get go could be the difference between you keeping your job and losing it. Because
Yes.
if you go missing for half an hour, and they'll just think you're tossing it off. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Am I allowed to say that word?
Yep. You can
Is
do
that
whatever
all
you
right
want.
for saying that word? Yeah. They think you're just messing about or whatever. But if you go, look, if I disappear, I'm struggling, and yeah, I just need that breather. And then they'll think what they will then. Some people get it. I think as time goes on, more people understand it, but there is still a lot of ignorance. And I think it's like anything in life. It's until it directly affects that person that's being ignorant about it, they'll just be ignorant
Yeah.
towards it.
I
But
completely
until
agree.
it directly affects them,
So I'm going to move us on a little bit to what you're doing. Well, what happened next, and then um, what you do now, kind of things. So you set up a support group. Okay.
yes.
And is that mainly for men, or is it for everyone, or how do you work it?
So I volunteer at a place called the S62 group, S62 Community Together CIC, to be precise about it. And it's a group of wonderful people who we're all, I guess, from all different walks of life, but we're local. Sarah and Sam, who founded it, I think don't quote me on it, but I'm sure it were around the time of COVID and things like that, where people were feeling isolated and things like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on, they just got a lottery grant as well, by the way.
Oh,
Well, they
nice.
got it about a year ago, that shows you how good that the work is that they do. Um, and we've got an open, like, every Monday to Friday at 12 till 3. They do like it's like an open sort of cafe, if you will,
Oh,
where people just come have a drink and chat with each other. And what you notice from that is a lot of people that are lonely might be struggling with the nerves, struggle with the nerves to meet other people, and they all come together. And it's great to see because even people that are widowed and things like that. You know, they come and it's just it's great to just see them and go, wow, that's how many communities have got
Yeah.
that, you know, that togetherness, and that helps people's anxiety. I'm sure it does
Oh, without a
massively.
doubt. And
Uh,
with widowers
yeah,
as well, sometimes, so this is something that I'm finding. Obviously, I'm not a widower, but it's so hard to make friends when you're older and to make friends who understand you. So something like S62 is wonderful for anyone in that kind of situation.
absolutely, yeah. And my group is the recovery group, so I run the recovery group with Sam. Well, it's Sam's baby, but she needed somebody that's because I didn't access any services when I come out of hospital. A lot of this services in community that people can access to sort of keep rehabilitated, keep moving basically.
Yeah.
But I did it myself. I became strong overnight from somewhere. I became strong and I became independent. Yeah, I went from a lying alcoholic to being the strong, independent guy. Um, and I think what we've got a group of people that are just starting the recovery, or people that have been recovering longer than me, people that have about the same time as me. But we come together, we support each other. Everybody's got their problems going off in life, whether it be whatever family issues, anxiety, depression. But we all come together and we all support each other. And we just meet up on a Tuesday at 12 Walsall. And I feel like I give these guys that are in recovery, and even people that come that struggle with anxiety and that, my personality makes them think I should be proud of myself
Yeah.
where I'm going in my life now. And I feel, and that's what I tell them. If somebody don't like you, I'm not going to swear, but if you don't,
There's the
just
door.
get rid of them.
Yeah.
Get them shut out of your life, because last as you mentioned earlier, you don't need an energy vacuum. You don't need the only time somebody shouldn't be negative about it. We should promote positive
Yeah.
culture every time. And if you've not got something positive to say about that person, don't speak to them.
Yeah.
And that's what that's what I say about them. Like, you've got every right to be proud of yourself, and you know nobody's got the right to take that away from you.
Right.
So at any point, nobody's got that right to take it away from you. So you get a lot of them that'll be like, "Oh, they've called me this, they've called me that. So what?" So, I've been called a pea head,
Yeah.
not a pea, not like a mushy pea, but you know what I mean, like
Yeah. Yeah. I
as
know.
we call it over here. Yeah, and or people that try and drag up your past. Just get rid of them, because they're doing it for a reason,
Yes.
and it's usually because they don't like to see how much you've grown
Yes. And it's a past
as
for
a
a reason.
person.
I truly believe that we shouldn't ignore the past, but we don't have to dwell on it. You
Do I
learn from
regret
it.
my past? Not one bit, because I'm awesome. And I won't be awesome today
Yeah.
if it weren't for everything that I'd done and
I
gone
get
through.
asked a lot, oh, would you change anything? Would you? So I lived in Doncaster pretty much all my life, and then I moved down south. Worst thing I could have ever done. Um, and then I moved back to Doncaster just before COVID, and then I moved here. And people say to me all the time, well, you hated living down south. Would you change it? No. It was the only time I really, really felt independent because I was purposely on my own. Um, and permanently on my own. It was awful. But I wouldn't change it. And all right, it's not as extreme as what you went through, but it made me the person I am today. It made me a stronger person. It made
Uh,
me independent. It made me feel worthy. So
yeah,
you
and,
shouldn't.
and and like you said, among all that is lessons that you've learned
Yes,
that have made you the person that you are today.
exactly. So no, I don't think
So
anyone should ever. Well, obviously, there's probably some circumstances where you'd want to change your past, but
yeah,
some extreme things. And obviously some things that have happened to me recently that I wish had changed. But everything will make you the person that you are. So you learn from the past and you don't dwell on it. You move forward and make your future the best it can possibly be, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Find them walls that have been built in front of you and just knock them down.
Yeah.
Keep moving, keep moving,
There's a
keep
reason
focused,
why
keep moving.
people go to these destruction rooms for stress relief. And it's the same as in
Oh
real
yeah,
life. If you
yeah,
knock down the wall or the brick or the pot, whatever is in front of you, it's releasing stress and it's making you move forward. So there's a reason why these anger management rooms exist. It's the same
yeah.
for
And I think with regards to um, alcoholism and anxiety as well, I think a lot of these things come. You bring these sort of things on because you're trying to solve too many things at once. You're trying to do too many things at once, and you just become overwhelmed. And so, another piece of advice that would be, if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed, write down
yeah,
what's making you write down what not down write down what's making you feel overwhelmed, and try and then prioritize which one needs dealing with
yeah,
first. And the things that you can't change, you can't worry about,
yeah,
because you're just going to drive yourself crazy. Because if you can't change it, why do you need to worry about
yeah,
it?
exactly. And people need to remember that people forget that they can't change things. They want to fix everything and they can't. And it's hard to realize that you can't just fix everything. So
Yeah.
it's
Trust the process now. That's what I do. Literally just go with it. You know, if I walk up tomorrow and they go, I can't have you on this contract anymore, so and so's happened. Yeah, I'm gonna be gutted because I'll not be earning money, but I've just got to trust the
yeah,
process. There's worse things that can happen. You know, so just trust the process. Like that, energies and everything. Like I didn't used to be. I used to be right, like whatever. But I literally, the universe. I think the older you get, the more you sort of you'll never understand the universe, but the more that you become in tune with it, if you will.
yes,
And I just go with it,
yeah.
literally go with it, and that's it.
You touched on the group starting around COVID. Um, I struggled in COVID, and I've never been a big drinker ever. Um, and like I said, my anxiety was always like niggly. But I remember during COVID, the weather was awesome, so it
Oh,
was
great,
great.
isn't it?
I was sat in the garden. I remember one day I was in the back garden, and it was like 10:30 in the morning, and I'm sat there with my gin and tonic, thinking this is the best life. I could do this every day. Worst thing I could have done. And then I remember, I don't know if it came round where you are as well, but in Doncaster they had a load of planes, like old planes, flying about and like doing air shows and things. And I remember being so anxious stepping from the driveway onto the pavement, onto the path. Like, I don't know how you would have coped. Like, I can't get my head around how I coped, and I don't have anxiety as bad as you did, and I don't have a drinking
I
problem.
breezed it.
Huh?
I breezed it.
Oh,
I was drunk.
oh well, yeah, I guess.
I was hammered every day, and it was just like, yeah. The only thing that I needed to worry about was queuing up in queue to Aldi to get more beer or something like that. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
make sure you're the distance away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I that was when I was really struggling, but I dealt with that, I guess. You also did MindFest. Now, in the back of my head, I kind of knew what MindFest was, but I didn't realize that that was something that you was involved in. Do you want to just explain a little bit about that as well for me?
Yeah, yeah. So I ain't done it for a couple of years now, and I'll explain why I ain't done it for a couple of years as I get to enter it. But Mindfest were basically we would put on a gig, get bands to come across. Come across like they're coming across from America or something. What about like come across counties or just come across from Barnsley or Doncaster or whatever? We used to put a gig on once a year, but we'd have small events leading up to it, like with Tesco at Waffle Pond used to let us do a little bit of a campaign day there where we'd have two exercise bikes where people would be doing sponsored cycles on them, while we'd have flyers and things like that, just making people aware of um, mental health and anxiety and things like that. And you know what? It was great because the amount of people that engaged with you what brilliant! Like
Yeah.
people engaging with you, saying, "Oh, my son, or me, or my nephew, or me daughter's partner," or and you can just sit and stand and talk to people all day about anxiety. Everybody from different walks of life, everybody saying, just keep up that good work at promoting it from the time that we did it, which were probably 2016 till 2023. Yeah, till
Yeah.
2023. And yeah, because I feel like when we started doing MindFest, we were the pretty much the only ones that were raising awareness of mental health. Um, in local community at that time. But then, as Mindfest went on, and again more understanding
Yeah.
towards, or it become more popular, then all these groups started springing up, which were fantastic,
Yeah.
great. And then we just got to a point where we feel like we've done what we need to do now. We there's so many places that we didn't offer a place to go for help. We just raised awareness of it,
Right.
but there were so many places popping up. Um, that that offered services and things like that. We were never going to be that because we had full time
Right.
jobs. We had, and then at weekend I see my daughter and things like that. So making that sort of commitment to it, I couldn't do it. So it, we just got to a point where we stopped doing the event. Any money that we made in it, we used to put into the local groups. They'd and they'd do what they needed to do with it really. Um, there weren't big things, but like for A62 group, we when they first started out and they didn't have any funding or out, we'd uh, pay for the football pitches for a five-a-side
Right.
football for a few months for them and things like that. Just little things like that, really. So it went back into the community. First few years, we put it back into Mind, but no disrespect to Mind, we just didn't see where the money were going. We didn't see any sort of
Yeah.
benefit from it because uh, but then putting it into local groups, you can sort of see results from it,
Because mine's
which
national,
is
right?
what we opted to do. Is what,
Mine's
sorry?
national.
Yes, yeah, it's national, yeah, and that's it. You put it in, it's great, and I think mine are fantastic. I can't knock them because we aren't Mind. I don't think anybody would have started looking at mental health differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, it's national, so everybody sees that logo and they understand straight away that it's to do with mental
Yeah.
health. So you can't. But from a small group of people just wanting to see results for what we were doing, it were easy just to put money back into local community
I think
because we
that
saw the
helps as
results from
well
it.
when you're, because like you say, Mind is wonderful. It's a great charity, and I would support it 1,000%. But if you can't see it, when you can physically see, I have done that, and it's not like being big headed and being like, oh, you check me out, I've done that. It's for your own personal, you know. I've done
Absolutely,
that.
yeah,
I can
yeah,
be proud of myself because I've helped these people. You don't have to shout it from the rooftops, but to yourself, you can sit on your couch and say, I helped these people. I paid for the football field or whatever you did. I bought
yeah,
books for a library. I helped somebody feed the kids this week. It's all these little
absolutely, yeah,
things that you can physically see it, and it makes you want to do it more.
absolutely. And I think like Mind National, yeah, it's great, but they do also again have the local branches,
Right.
so that's brilliant because, and I think when you're doing sort of campaigning and fundraising, it's great to do it, it's fantastic, but you've got to you're not going to change the world,
Yeah.
so change your community the best that you can.
Yeah.
I'm not. I always say it's from uh, a singer that I like, a band called Falling in Reverse. The singer's called Ronnie Radke, and he's battled anxiety, depression, and things like that, and addiction as well. And he says like, I can't change the world, but I'll leave a mark,
Yes.
and that's it. That's I ran with that ever from then onwards. I'm not going to change the world, but let's leave a
Yeah.
mark.
And that's what's most important is, I truly believe charity starts at home. Um, I'm not saying that you shouldn't give to the big charities, but charity starts at home. And by home, I mean your local community. And if I can do something to help my local community, then I'll do it 10 times over. So
Yeah, absolutely. Same. And I think that's what's great about where I am now and S62 group. There is something there for anybody that needs to access it,
yes,
whether it be addiction, whether it be mental health, whether it be anything like loneliness. There's something there that you can access.
yeah,
I just think that's great. I, I think the next point for me, I had told them this, so they'll probably listen back to this and go, "Hey, that's a good idea." Is getting into the community and encouraging people to access it who might struggle to access it because of the confidence.
yeah. Have you ever
So I
thought
think
about
that'll be next step for me would be to get out there and do it.
yeah? Have you ever thought about going into schools and talking to kids about it? Is that something that you do, or that or assisted to do?
I think the school side of it is a bit more of uh, a red tape because it's like cams and things like
Right.
that deal with
Okay.
with the kids side of it. I do believe that schools would be a great place to start to make people aware of things because, like I said, going back to when I first started about my anxiety first starting, you know, your brains, you're in adolescence.
Yeah.
You're changing from a child to a young adult, aren't you?
Yes.
And I think that you're soaking up a lot of what's going off in the world around you. So I do believe that that would be a great to take that sponge your brain and put that information in there about anxiety and that it's all right
Yeah.
to have anxiety and that and to encourage people that haven't got it to support the people that have got it
Yeah.
instead of taking the pee out of them, sort of thing.
It's been a long time since I was at school, um, but I definitely think some sort of public speaker to go in, or just some like in like the assembly time. I don't know if they still do that at schools because, like I said, it's been a long time. Um, just
Yep,
someone,
same.
just someone to
Me
say.
longer, 2000 I left, but
Well, I would have only been the year after you, so
2001 or 2 you were, weren't you?
yeah, I can't remember. I'm that old. I can't remember anymore. Um,
Same.
but I do
But
think
I
it's
think I'm sure they'll have advocates and that for
yeah.
mental
I need.
health and things
I
like
don't
that.
think
I'm
the
sure they
advocates we
will.
had at school were equipped with the knowledge to be able to help with these situations.
Used to send us to college to build a brick wall or something like that instead,
Yes. I
or
didn't do that.
paint a kitchen.
And somebody else is going to paint it the next week in a different colour.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, absolutely.
So before I let you
Yeah.
go, because I know that we've rabbited on a little bit, um, is there
Have we?
anything that I've missed, or anything that any advice you'd like to give, or anything you'd like to say before I let you go?
Um, I just think what I always try and encourage a positive culture. Uh, Take positives from any negative situation. There'll always be a positive to take from
Yes.
a negative situation. So always look for that. Keep pushing on. Like I said, you're not different for feeling different. And as I said on my Facebook just the other day, you might have seen it about some days that the smallest task can feel like climbing a mountain, but then other days you can breeze it.
Yeah.
And just to know that that's all right to feel like that because and just things like that. And just keep pushing because and talking as well because what you're feeling, I can guarantee you that we're in probably a circle of 3 or 4 other people around you. One of them's either felt that or actually feeling that at that time as
Yeah.
well. So I think that communication is key to reassurance and understanding that you're not on your own.
Yeah.
Just keep, and again, communication. Keep talking, keep pushing. See them brick walls, knock them down. There's nothing that you can't do. And I think I want to be an example of somebody that were given overnight to live, but is now. I'm pushing on. I've just started my own business, and I'm doing things for myself and being independent. Nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
There's like I always say, you see it as you're a ship, and every now and then you're going to hit them stormy seas, and there's grey skies we in it, but the sun shines. There's always blue sky behind that
Yeah.
them dark clouds. That is always there. That blue sky is always there. No matter what comes in front of it, it's always there. So just keep sail into
Just
that
keep
because
going.
that sea will become calm and that sky will become blue. 100%. Every time.
I love that.
I
Absolutely.
waffled there for a minute, didn't I?
Absolutely loved it. Um, Thank you so much. I am going to put so anyone who's still with us, thank you so much. I am going to put all the links to the different charities, different resources on my page and in the description boxes and things. So if anyone does need it, please feel free to go on there. If you can't see it, get in touch and I can get you any resources. And for now, thank you so much for coming on. It's been really nice. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. No problem.